Thanks for hanging out with us. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We're joined by our next guest, the man who played 11 years in the NFL, former Eagle linebacker. You can follow him on Twitter as well, at JAKIB. And, of course, go to jcobb.com for all the latest. What's happening, G? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I guess I'm in that same state that a lot of Philadelphia fans are. It's like, in the middle of the night, I used to do this when I was playing, but my wife said, I'm going like, dog, what is it? What is it? That guy went outside. I should have stayed outside. Yeah. I came inside, whatever.
Gee, you're right. In that game, unfortunately, has left us with like 10 of those kind of plays. Whether it's like the Sayamalo goes offsides, and then Jalen fumbles, or the punt return, or the Devontae Smith catch that they overturned.
Yeah.
I'm not even scratching the surface, man. There's a lot of those kind of plays that you wake up in a cold sweat sometimes. Like, did that really happen?
The thing about it is, it's just, they had such a great season, man. I mean, the way everything came together. And I mean, and if you'd have told me, okay, who's going to throw for 300 yards? I'd probably say, well, Mahomes probably throw for 300. No, right. Yeah. Jalen throws for 300 yards. He did everything but, build the stadium.
Yeah. I mean, wish he built the turf.
I mean, just such a great game he had. And, and as good as the team were, but unfortunately, they didn't get that running game going.
No.
Like they had done, so much of the season, and, of course, defensively, just they weren't able to get the stops. They weren't able to get to Mahomes, and then him taking off on like a 20-some yard run, man. That was tough.
Hey, G, I'd love to ask former players this question, man. Are you at a stage in your life where you can sit back and just watch a football game? Or are you still analyzing every play, no matter who you're watching?
Well, most of the games I can separate, and right. I'm watching the game really just, as a student, really, looking at it from that standpoint. But with some games, you emotionally start getting involved. And that's when I'll tell the missus, I got to stop looking at these tapes. That's it. I'm not going to play. I'm not playing in the game. So you can get emotionally in there. But, I don't like to get in there that much, as much anymore, because, then you have, when you have those tough losses, I'm feeling like everybody else. And, just coming back from the game, we're getting on the plane, all of the Eagles people, like every one of them that walks by me, they want to start explaining me the game. I'm going like, hey, just relax.
Oh, that's the worst right there. That's the worst. They know more than you. I'm good with that. I mean, I understand that. Didn't you see that too? No, not this time.
Well, their heart's in it, and even at the game, the Eagles fans, you could. I mean, there was a lot of pain, and that's the thing where, like, still now, I mean, I could be at the store, the guys, I could tell by the way the guy's looking. Oh boy,
here we go.
You can see him approaching.
Yep. Yeah, here we go.
He's in that pain place,
Well, let me ask you this, man. As they go forward and they're looking for these coaches, it seems like that clock is running down for me. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
We got to maximize time right now. And when you win the Super Bowl, that's some of the things that dictate, what happens to you is the, lack of time you have to prepare for that next season. It's a double-edged sword. You're in the Super Bowl, but you don't get the time after the Super Bowl to get ready to compete for another Super Bowl.
Yeah, that is definitely a tough thing. And just in hearing, some of the coaches who saw some of the people were, different Eagles personnel were looking at some of the tapes of some of the rookies, the guys that are coming out in college, they're going to be in the draft, in that how, of course you want to play in the Super Bowl and everything, but it puts so much of a time restraint on you that everything's coming up right now. Now, you got, the
combine,
the combine's coming up, and if you really want to be able to find out, something on these kids, you need to be able to do your homework, And so you'd like to have the coaches involved with that, but they can't do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I could imagine, you know, and I'm not saying this was a problem, this was an issue, but I know the coaches, when they were at the Super Bowl, you know, they're getting ready, trying to get ready for interviews. They got the whole career ahead, a big moves going on. You got all this going on. So it really is a tough time. I mean, you get benefited by playing in the Super Bowl, but you only got but so many hours in a day. And it just packs it all down and makes it tighter for the teams that go. And that's what I think that's probably one of the big reasons that it's tougher to go back again and again, because you really get under the, under the gun, because, you know, sorry.
No pun intended.
What do you mean by that?
You know, you really, things just get tighter and tighter because you just don't have as much time. And, the other teams are going to get more time to look at certain players and things because, you know, you've had all that time where you were, focusing on, the biggest game you had all season.
Gee, in the 11 years you played in the league, did you ever go through a scenario like the Eagles are going through now with a multitude of coaches that have jettisoned out of here at the same time?
I did. I played 6 years in Detroit.
Yeah.
And we had a couple times because we had Maxie Bourne. He was our defensive coach, and I learned so much from Maxie about the game and everything. But right after one of the season, boom, he bolts. He's our defensive coordinator. He's put together everything, and then he's gone. And I don't know that our team ever really, at least our defense. I don't know that the guys really recovered because he left. And nobody knew he was going, but he got a job offer, and they didn't want to give him what he wanted there, and boom, he just bolted. So when you lose a coach, it is going to be an adjustment. If you're going to be changing, you're changing your system, and which there's a chance they could do that, and that means everything changes. A lot of the things that you've gotten ingrained to where you just do it instinctively because you're used to this system. Now that changes. Now you got to relearn, and it's tough on veteran players. It's not the easiest thing with some of their reads changing, and a lot of it gets into such detail. But in order to really be a good player and to have a good system, you can't play up here. You're not really playing up here. You're playing more down in your gut, your instincts. You're not really thinking through. You got to just be able to do it. Your read has got to be like that, and
instinctual. It's got to be there.
Yeah.
Instincts.
It's really deep down inside of you. That's where you really play, because the game of football happens so fast that you're playing instinctively. And a lot of times, if you're in a system that you're used to, then you can flow. But once you have to start thinking, then you got to relearn that system. And that's when you have a change of coaches, especially when you have a good team. Normally, you don't change things a lot. But the way it's things now, they're probably going to have to change some things. Yeah.
Gee, I'm thinking about this as you're saying it. Like, this may seem weird, but is it an easier transition because you're not losing as much on offense and Sirianni's an offensive guy? Like, is it more critical to get the defensive coordinator right than the offensive coordinator in this search?
I think so, because they're going to play the same system offensively. All the guys know they're going to be doing a lot of the same things. They're not going to let somebody come in here and change everything up. No, because their head coach is an offensive coach. So he knows the way he wants to do things. And so they're not going to have as much change. But defensively, they're going to have some changes. And it depends on what system they bring in. Because if they bring in a system where some systems are kind of like cousins, they're not totally different. Then some are just totally different, where you change. And let's say if they were to go where they're, let's say they play, they live in the too deep zone, then that would be a change. Yeah, that would be a change. And then depending on, when you're talking about a 4-3, but, really, the guys are just going to be rushing the passer a lot. But there are changes that happen between the 3-4 and the 4-3. And depending on what a defensive coordinator likes to do. And so there could be some changes. Hopefully they'll try to make them as little as possible, because, as I said, you don't play the game, up here. You really play it in more of an instinctive way. And so you got to be used to the system and get comfortable in it. You got to have your guys comfortable in that system. That's the way they play at their best.
You expect to see wholesale changes on that defense because of what they were able to accomplish this year. There's going to be a lot of guys making some big money, and I don't know if the Eagles can counter, considering you got to pay that quarterback.
Well, I've been sitting down. I was kind of looking at some of this, and of course, defensively is where you're going to have the most change. But the whole thing is, can Howie, can he work that magic? I mean, Howie has been good at finding loopholes, because the guy doesn't care how he gets his money as long as he gets his money. So if they were to tell you, look, we can give you this money in September. Okay, well, I'm good. I got to wait till September, then I get my money, But, the whole thing is, I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, but, where you can hang on to as many of these guys as possible, because, you got to make some tough decisions. You look at, of course, inside at the tackle spot with Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. Hargrave, of course, had the better year. I mean, he's the dominant player. I mean, it just seems like when he gets one-on-one, here's a chance he can beat his guy one-on-one. I mean, that's what I saw in just looking at him all year. And so he's a guy that, man, I don't see how you let a guy, like that. I don't think you can let him go as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but that's a lot of money we're talking about. That's a lot of money.
I know. I know.
Both he and CJ GJ, probably both of those guys together yearly, if you add them two up, they're probably right around $32 million to try to keep both of them. Well, you're right. 35, 40. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So, and pay Jalen.
Yeah.
I don't know if this.
I know.
Feasible.
Well, that's what they've got to do. Somewhere that they got to find a way, because a guy like CJ, man, he's so valuable because he's, got the ability. You see what he can do at the safety spot. Then, he's got man-to-man coverage skills. Those guys in the secondary, boy, they are valuable. But I don't, they're not gonna be able to keep everybody. I don't know I don't think they can keep Bradbury. I don't know if they're gonna be able to keep him around.
No, he's gone.
Because corners are so valuable. I mean, that's why they got their work cut out of them. That's why they pay Howie the big bucks, man.
Well, I guess the good thing is you got 10 and 30 here, in the draft. I mean, you should be able to. I mean, that should be two starters. It doesn't have to be like last year where Jordan Davis plays a little bit, Juergens is ready in case Kelsey, whatever. I mean, these guys are gonna have to come in and play this year.
Yeah, I would probably think that they might try to grab a corner there with that first pick. Because if you could get a quality corner. Because to be putting all that money at the cornerback position, you just can't. I don't know how you can do that. So,
you already paid Slay, paid Maddox.
Yeah,
not a lot left to
I don't see how. So I could see them drafting a corner in that. If there's one, I know there's some quality ones, but I know that they are they're going to go high. So hopefully they'll be there. At that 10 spot. But then I know Howie, though, how he loves to trade down, and I wonder if I know he would like to do that, but if there's a special guy there at 10, you got to get him, man.
Exactly.
You got to get him. But I know he likes to trade down, though. He likes to figure he can trade down and get more. But you got to get a player that comes in and make an impact. You can't take that chance and you end up not getting a guy that can come in and start for you right now. You got to get that with that 10th pick.
So you're going on the defensive side of the ball as opposed to the offensive side.
Yeah, I would think that the defense is where they would go. Yeah, okay. Because they're not going to be able to re-sign all these guys defensively. Offensively, you don't have as much movement. You've got most of your guys coming back. I'm looking at these positions. Of course, you don't know what Kelsey's going to do.
Kelsey and Sayamalu and Sanders. They're your three.
Yeah. So
Where do you fall in the running back thing in terms of
running back? I see the where they seem to be just frustrated with Miles. I mean, because Miles has got so much talent, but boy, he just, they want him to get north and south, and he's trying to take everything outside, and I see them get frustrated with him while they take him out.
Right.
So I don't know that they're going to be able, I mean, they're not going to give him but so much money. I mean, I think somebody else will probably be able to outbid them for Miles. I don't know that they're going to be willing to give Miles that killer contract because, as I said, you can see they're frustrated with him. So I think Miles gets a deal somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I think. And I think that they end up, maybe they draft a running back because, I mean, if you look at, the Chiefs, I mean, they didn't get this kid the 7th round.
Pacheco, yeah.
And he makes a major contribution in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think you can get a running back, that can help you right now, especially the guy they need a running back because, see, these other guys are able to do those issues, which it takes a running back a while to learn, like, on third down with all the different things he's got to do and running routes and everything. They got people that can do that. They need a guy that can run the ball.
G, can you remember a deeper, more talented, more versatile roster than what we just watched in 2022 with this Eagles team?
And that's what really is frustrating. That they got so close, but they didn't win it because you had a phenomenal roster because you didn't have to pay Jalen yet.
Yep.
But now you got to pay Jalen, and so you're not going to be able to stack that roster like that.
Mm-hmm.
And because you not only had quality players, you got guys at the prime of their career, and so you got so close, but that's why there was an ultimatum. They needed to win then, and now, Jalen's going to take more of the, which I think he's ready to do, take more of the offense,
more of the salary cap.
Yeah.
That's right. So you're not going to be able to really, you cannot have all of the talent that they had on the team. I don't see how you can do that with the way they got to pay Jalen. I mean, some big money.
Well, and as Kansas City just showed, they had 11 rookies on the roster, 24 new players on the roster. They didn't have a loaded team of talent. They had a future Hall of Fame quarterback. They had a dominant defensive end in Chris Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else was a sprinkle of this and a sprinkle of that. But if you do it just right, it can succeed. And that's why drafting now, especially for Howie this year, he's had an outstanding draft the last couple of years, but this year in particular, is so important for the immediate future of this team.
I mean, you're definitely right. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, and, Kansas City did a great job. And with all those kids that they had playing in the secondary, to have them hold up for them all year. But they are going to have a good draft, and, that has always been their strong suit. But they got to have a great draft, and they've got to hit it with the guys. And it's mainly defensive players. That's what I see that they're going to be looking at. And I know that they say they got some good corners coming out, but the whole thing is, you got to get people that can rush the passer, and it would be interesting to see how many guys they're able to bring back. And like I said, if I know Howie's probably sitting somewhere now looking for loopholes in the salary cap.
Now you're going to see some deals converted into signing bonuses and all that. That's coming. I mean, it's got to be coming soon.
Yeah,
all right,
he does a great job.
Since I'm one of the guys who would approach you in the supermarket who's not over it yet, question for you.
Uh-huh.
Is the loss more on the players or the coaches in your estimation?
I mean, looking at some of the things that happened defensively were frustrating, and ultimately the coach has to take the hit for it, even though, the players were doing like with the motion. I mean, you're going like, where they were getting sloppy about it, where they're assuming when a guy goes in motion, he's going to go all the way across. So then you take your eye off the guy. I mean, which is something. I mean, that's just sloppy and careless. And the coaches should have seen it and called them on it. But some of your best players were involved with it. I mean, it's something that you just cannot be doing. And it's and you got to give the Chiefs credit. They saw it, but it's just something very simple. Where you cannot assume the guy's going all the way across. I mean, it's a shame, because that it hurts you that bad. But defensively, they didn't make any stops. I mean, when they needed to, they didn't get it done.
Yeah, none, literally. 4 times, 4 possessions, no stops.
And then, of course, I got to also. All year, every time, there was a special teams, whether it was a punt or whatever, you go like, okay, let's just get them off the field.
Yeah.
It's just as long as we get off the field without anybody scoring, no big play or anything. But eventually it cost them. And we knew it. I mean, everybody, all year I was like, okay, let's just get the special teams off of it. And then eventually it cost them right at the worst time, And,
Are you surprised they're bringing Michael Clay back as their special teams coordinator?
I am.
I was shocked. I'm going like, I don't want to hurt the guy's job with it. I mean, but I'm going like, are you kidding me? I mean, because like I said, all year it was hold your breath during the special teams. We just want to get them off the field.
Yeah. Yep.
And this guy gets his job back. That was a surprise to me. Maybe he's got some pictures or something.
Yeah, I hear you.
He got a videotape.
Let me ask you about Hurts' contract. Look, we know it's going to be mind-blowing when it finally gets done, right? 40, 50 million, whatever it ends up being. But when you have a guy that's dialed in like him, and you've played with guys who, when they got their deal, were worried about the cars and the money, the girls and all that. This is not this dude. So are you not as worried about that considering his character than you would be for some other folks?
Most definitely. I think if anything, you feel good about him. I mean, this kid, the improvement that he made over the year, I mean, all the work he put in, and then to go out and play like he did in the Super Bowl, some of the throws he was making. But the biggest thing was the way that he was able to progress to where he's 1, 2, 3, and he's getting the ball out of his hands. The progress he made there. And the kid is dedicated. And then, of course, after the game, with the way he talks, you need that steady hand, man. I think that's the biggest thing the Eagles have going for them is they have got a steady guy at the wheel. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't say enough about how he's impressed me with, because, I heard about the way he was working, and then he went out and he showed all of us the work that he put in during the offseason, And what that has done is it just pushes everybody. When you got a quarterback like that, it puts pressure on everybody to have their act together and to be putting in the work. And, it really just drives the whole organization. When you got a quarterback, with those type of qualities, it's good stuff. And that's one of the reasons they were in the Super Bowl. Without a doubt, probably the number one reason was the excellence of Jalen Hurts. I mean, the progress he made and the way he played. Because like I said, if I were thinking about the Super Bowl, I would have thought he played like I thought Mahomes was going to play, which is, because he just had a great Super Bowl. And, unfortunately that one play, but he made, some of the throws he was making, I'm going like, is he on something? Because, come on, you see the throws that he made, that's why it's such a shame that they lost because, he played a special Super Bowl. There's not many guys you could say played better than he did in that Super Bowl. So, it's unfortunate they let it get away.
No question.
Yep.
Gee, listen, man, always appreciate you hopping on with us, man. Great insights as always.
Good to see you, man.
We're looking
All
forward to
right.
having you on again, man. Appreciate
You
it.
guys
Thank
have
you.
a good one, man. Keep
G.
Jalen going in that same way, man.
That's right. That's right, G.
JAKIB.
All right.
I'm gonna see if I can get. I need to get a job with Jalen. That's who I need to
That's
get
right.
a job with.
G, I'll see you in aisle 3. I'm going to have to complain about the Super Bowl to you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks,
Hey,
G.
you guys have a good one, man.
All right.
You too, man.
All right.
It's Garry Cobb, JAKIB.com. You can check out all his all the great stuff that G does on there. It's excellent. There's good stuff on Fox 29 as well. All right, so we mentioned, guys, some of the price tags here, what this may look like. So just from sort of like dipping into different stories and whatnot. We come back, we'll look at what Hargrave might get, what CJ, GJ, some of the other, bigger name free agents that the Eagles have out there. And we'll also look at some of the free agents available at some of the positions that the Eagles may have of need. So we'll dip into that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. That's D Gunn. That's B Brooks. I am R Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network on this beautiful Friday. Let's talk about Flynn Tree Services. Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face, and they're experts at trimming all types of trees, and they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. Now, keep in mind, we've been kind of fortunate with the good weather. It's a great time to have your trees evaluated before the bad stuff really hits before the end of this winter. Go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's Flynn